Childhood obesity rates have tripled since 1980.
Now fast forward 10 years and the rates skyrocket, where more than 40% of adults are considered obese.
And that by the end of this new decade, about half, 49% of us, will be obese.
Our children are going to suffer. Our grandchildren are going to suffer. And I know this because I'm a child. I was supposed to end up as a statistic. I was supposed to end up in this trap. But my dad, he decided to break the loop. So you see, there's a loop. There's a loop that we are in. 200 years ago, it was not common to be unhealthy. It was not common to be overweight. But then people started to pick up habits which they didn't know were bad. But we know that these habits are bad. We know junk food is bad. We know that watching TV for hours every day is not good for us. But when these things were first introduced, our great-great-great-grandparents didn't know that it was bad, but they picked it up. And then their kids started doing it, because that's what happens. You look at your environment and then you see and you copy. Their kids started doing it, and then they grew up, and then their kids started doing it, and then they grew up and their kids started doing it. And it's just going to keep cycling. And you see the graphs, you see the chart where 100 years ago, no one was overweight. Now it's predicted that half of Americans are going to be overweight. And this is not fun. It is not fun to be overweight. And I don't have to be overweight to know that. And people have this false notion that our government is going to save us. 14 years ago was when that first clip took place. 14 years ago that people were saying, oh yeah, it's going to get better. No, it did not get better. No one's going to save us. We have to save ourselves. We have to break the loop. If it's difficult for us now to get into good shape, imagine how hard it's going to be for our great-grandchildren to break out of the loop, to try and get in good shape when 80% of Americans are overweight, when all of the food is way more sugary, way more addicting. Imagine that miserable life that we will be giving them. We will pass it down to them. Would you want to receive that life? Would you want to receive a life where you are pretty much guaranteed to be overweight by the age of 15? Would you want that? I would not want that. It is our responsibility to break this loop, because it's only going to get harder. It's only going to get more difficult. And if we don't do it now, it's never going to change. Our kids are going to be overweight their entire lives. Their kids are going to be overweight. But the cause of all of this is not junk food. It's not TV. It's not video games. The cause is the fact that no one is striving after their own goals. No one knows what they want in life, and no one is going after them. And it's not their fault, because we were placed in a society where it's normal to numb ourselves. When I was younger, I remember I would lay on the couch watching TV, and after hours, I actually got bored watching TV. I actually started to get sore. But I used my discipline not to get up and start my day, not to get up and do something. I used my discipline to fight through the boredom and continue watching TV. I used my discipline to numb myself even more. I was 10 years old. The real issue is the fact that we are not striving after our own goals, and it's impossible to. Why? Because we don't even know what we want. It's impossible to know what you want if you are sitting on the couch watching TV. It's impossible. I know this because I didn't know what I wanted until I started to listen to my own desires, and I started to not go on my phone, not go on TV. I'm only 18 years old. I don't know much about the world yet. But there's one thing I know, and it's the greatest thing that you can do for your kids is to figure out what you actually want. Figure out a goal and start striving towards it. It can be something as simple as to be able to run a 5K. Or it can be something extremely advanced, like being a world-class chess player. It does not matter what it is. The greatest gift you can give your child is striving after a goal. Because I wouldn't be standing in front of this camera if it weren't for my parents striving after goals. I would still be up in my room, using my discipline to stay in my bed, scrolling on my phone.